A giant of the cosmos is bearing down on our world. A space rock is set to rocket past Earth, an event both thrilling and also terrifying. As it blazes through space at a breakneck speed, it also serves as a stark reminder. Our universe is unpredictable and utterly indifferent to human comfort. Take a look at this report.
The vast, silent expanse of space is often portrayed as an empty void, yet it is a cosmic shooting gallery, constantly traversed by unseen dangers. For millennia, humanity has looked to the stars with wonder, but also with a primal unease about what might descend from beyond. Now that ancient fear solidifies into a tangible, fast-approaching reality. Asteroid 2025 OW, a truly enormous space rock measuring approximately 220 feet wide, roughly equivalent to a 25-story skyscraper, taller than the Leaning Tower of Pisa, is hurtling towards Earth at an astonishing speed of 75,554 kilometers per hour. Its trajectory places it within a mere 633,000 kilometers of our planet next week. Agencies like NASA and ESA maintain a vigilant watch, providing assurances that its path is being meticulously monitored. The sheer proximity of such a colossal object ignites a profound sense of vulnerability. NASA confirms there is no direct threat of impact, but that does little to quiet the anxiety that comes with such cosmic near misses. Because when a 25-story rock comes within a whisper, just 1.6 times the distance to the moon, it forces humanity to confront its fragility. One wrong angle, one miscalculation, and the world could see a cataclysm. The event also reignites the conversation around planetary defense. What if this asteroid had been slightly larger or closer? Would we be ready? For now, 2025. OW will blaze past us, a harmless visitor, but its message will linger. Space is not silent, and it's always watching.
Shifting focus for now, as Russia intensifies its assault, Ukraine finds itself digging deeper into its population for fighters. And on Tuesday, a deadly wave of aerial strikes killed 25 people. Russian forces steadily pushing forward across multiple eastern fronts with no respite in sight. President Zelensky has now turned to 60-year-olds to fill the ranks of a war machine stretched to its breaking point.
The very air over Ukraine remains heavy with the pungent scent of gunpowder and despair. The skies are buzzing with Russian drones and missiles. The deadly assault, part of Moscow's ever-advancing offensive, left families hunting for survivors amid smoldering ruins and ash. Russian troops continue to capture Ukrainian territory bit by bit, seizing new ground and battering the beleaguered defenders as the war grinds into its fourth year. Ukraine's war is no longer being fought by the young. It is now being fought by anyone who can stand and shoot. In a sign of the conditions on the ground, Kyiv has ordered men up to the age of 60 to report for duty. President Zelensky signed a bill allowing Ukrainian citizens over the age of 60 to enlist in the military. Yet for the weary soldiers who have fought since 2022, hope for respite is fading fast. calls for demobilization, sending men home after years under fire, are met by Zelensky's hard-edged decree only after victory. There can be no rotation, no rest, because new recruits simply aren't enough to replace those on the line.
It is very difficult to rotate the guys. Previously, let's say, you could replace a person, bring water once every 3 days, for example. But now, you have to think 100 times before going there. The entire sky is guarded. It has changed significantly. Everything is dangerous.
The premise is brutal. Ukraine's survival hinges on its ability to withstand an enemy with superior numbers and resources, a challenge that is now pushing the country to breaking point. On the Donetsk front line, Ukrainian soldiers manning the trenches talk about the unrelenting Russian assault.
No, it's like anxiety, memories spinning in my head, before sleeping. And even when I finally crash out, I sleep for an hour, wake up again. That's how it goes. It was better underground, because it was just work, and then you went home. Here, there's no home. It's an endless shift.
Ukraine's dire manpower crisis stands in contrast to Russia's inexhaustible reserves. With each day, more civilians are pressed into combat roles, while the country's best chance for survival becomes a race to outlast the storm already breaking over its head.
What once seemed unthinkable has now thundered into reality. An American space agency, after decades of denying India the crown jewel of rocket technology, entrusted the world's most expensive Earth monitoring satellite to the very engines they tried to stop. Watch this report from WION Siddharth MP, who is bringing you this report from Sriharikota, where the satellite was launched into orbit today. Take a look.
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
The very atmosphere vibrated with the raw power of India's GSLV rocket as it ascended, carrying the NISAR satellite. It is the world's most expensive civilian Earth imaging satellite. India's indigenously built GSLV Mark II rocket lifted off its cryogenic core, blazing into the sky with NASA's most expensive Earth science satellite on board. School children brought to watch the launch and mission teams erupted in cheers. NISAR, which stands for NASA ISRO Synthetic Aperture Radar, a cutting-edge satellite designed to scan Earth's surface with pinpoint radar precision, has entered orbit, riding on technology America once refused to sell India. NISAR will be our planet's ultimate sentinel, scanning every inch of Earth's land and ice with dual-frequency radar, from mapping earthquakes, tracking disasters and monitoring crop health to understanding shifting glaciers and rising seas. NISAR's eye is unmatched.
For both NASA and ISRO, this is a massive success. For the NISAR satellite particularly, this is a beginning of its 3 to 5 year long life in space. NISAR will serve as a health monitor for the Earth. It will map the entire Earth's surface, including the land surface and the Earth's ice mass. This will be done every week, and with every passing week, the imagery of the Earth can be compared, and even centimeter level changes on Earth's surface can be studied. This data is available for the whole world. Anyone who is dealing with Earth science or any civilian can download it and try to interpret this data and use it to develop the learnings with regards Earth sciences.
Equipped with a 12-meter dish that will unfold in space, NISAR will record nearly all of Earth's land and ice twice every 12 days from an altitude of 747 kilometers. The mission has been hailed as a milestone in growing US-India cooperation between President Donald Trump and Prime Minister Narendra Modi.
As tensions rise in the Pacific, Washington is arming its allies and drawing new red lines and with real firepower. Enter a new missile tested for the first time outside American soil. It is in fact being seen as a direct warning to China from the US. The precision strike missile, according to reports, is faster, deadlier, and more mobile than anything in the US arsenal. The first international test happened this month in Australia. The missile is said to have hit a target nearly 200 miles away. Officials are saying that future versions could travel more than 300 miles. But that's not all. This new missile reportedly moves at 4,000 kilometers per hour, faster than anything China can currently intercept. And there's more. It reportedly dodges jamming technology, which makes it harder to stop, and each launcher holds 2 precision strike missiles, unlike the older ATACMS system, which basically fired just 1. That means more missiles, more targets, more firepower. And these are the same mobile systems, the same ones that Ukraine has been given to defend itself against the Russian forces. And now they are part of the US game plan in the Pacific. Taiwan already has 11 HIMARS units. More are expected in 2026. And if paired with this precision strike missile, analysts are saying that they could take out Chinese warships before they even reach Taiwan's shores, or even while they are still docked. And that makes it a game changer. Remember, China has increased its military activity around Taiwan. It is flying its fighter jets across the median line, sending warships close to its coast. But so far, there has been no direct strike. The Chinese president, meanwhile, has made his intention clear. He has said that a so-called reunification is inevitable. He sees Taiwan as part of Chinese territory. As a result, there are very real feelers in Taiwan that a Chinese invasion of the self-ruled democratic island is on the cards. And now, with this US missile, the cost of that invasion just went up in a way. According to reports, the precision strike missile dramatically increases the risk for a Chinese fleet. But the US is not going at it alone. Australia has also joined the missile program, signing a $310 million deal with Washington, basically to reportedly co-develop the technology and run joint tests. Australia's defense industry minister has been quoted as saying that all this is about extending deterrence in the Indo-Pacific and signaling that pain can be inflicted. But then here's the thing, China is innovating as well. And according to reports, China is building amphibious barges, believed to be for moving tanks and troops past beaches not suited for landings. And what's the goal? Multiple fronts and faster seizure, basically. And this is why experts in the US are saying that their time is running out. And for America, if Taiwan falls, the US loses its strongest buffer in the Pacific, and China gains a crucial foothold, not just politically, of course, but militarily. But if China fails, it could shake Xi Jinping's regime to its very core. And that's why the unveiling of this new missile is not just about firepower, it's about the ability to sink enemy warships in bulk. And for now, this missile has not been fired in war, but the US message is loud and clear. This is not just about defense. The earth roared, the world trembled. A vast 8.8 magnitude earthquake ravaged Russia's Far East, sending monstrous tremors surging beneath the Pacific and plunging nations from Japan to Hawaii into panic and chaos. The planet's hidden fury forced millions to flee as tsunami sirens blared and screens glowed with urgent warnings, exposing just how frail humanity's sense of security really is.
very ground beneath us can shift with devastating force, and this week it did precisely that. A massive 8.8 magnitude earthquake struck Russia's remote Far East, sending violent tremors that transcended continents. It is the 6th strongest quake ever recorded and the biggest since the earthquake that hit Japan in 2011. Japan braced for waves. Hawaii set emergency protocols into motion. From Alaska to the shores of Taiwan, meteorological agencies issued urgent warnings. Millions prayed and rushed for safety.
I felt adrenaline rush at that point. I was hyper-focused. Scanning for safe zones for those under my care was basically everything I thought about. Yes, death crossed my mind. Silently asked for forgiveness from all, recalled life's good moments, and naturally texted my wife.
The Pacific Tsunami Warning Center issued alerts for low-lying islands and coastlines, urging people to move inland. Sirens blared. Social media exploded with images of shoreline evacuations and trembling windows. Amidst the panic, this image from Russia went viral. Surgeons in a Kamchatka hospital persisting with delicate operations as the earth bucked and swayed beneath their feet. As the panic swept east, Japan was thrown into a waking nightmare. Nearly 2 million people were ordered from their homes, trains screeched to a halt, defenses were manned, and a nation steeled itself for devastation. Hawaii too braced for a hit, residents pouring into shelters as 1.5-meter waves battered beaches and flooded shorelines.
I was very scared. The warnings were for all over Japan, so I was frankly scared.
On the US West Coast, alarms blared as far as California and Alaska, cities gripping for a blow that mercifully veered away at the last minute. The tsunami warnings were later downgraded, leaving only minor flooding and nerves stretched to breaking.
We were concerned. We weren't really concerned for our own safety. We were doing what the state officials told us to do. They said, to either move away from the coast or to get at least to the 4th floor of a building.
Stoking widespread anxiety, a wildly viral Japanese manga had eerily predicted a disastrous tsunami hitting Japan in July. The very same month, terror swept the Pacific Rim. Social media is ablaze with speculation. Was this mere coincidence or prophecy made manifest? Scientists warn that this was no one-off incident and there could be more massive quakes in the near future.
In Hawaii, tsunami sirens sounded in Honolulu.
It does not mean that an aftershock sequence will end soon. Aftershocks can be comparable with earthquake itself. It is possible, especially there is such a huge crust fracture.
This earthquake is a brutal reminder. No barrier, no technology. When the planet asserts its raw power, each tremor, every surge, exposes our fragility and the persistent fear that the next wave could forever rewrite the map. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
This month, China broke ground on one of the biggest construction projects in human history. A $167 billion mega dam in the remote mountains of Tibet. It's so massive that it will use 60 times more cement than America's Hoover Dam, and enough concrete to circle the planet 5 times. But behind the steel and the cement that is being poured into this project, there's something far bigger at play here. With this dam, the Chinese President Xi Jinping is basically planning to restart China's sluggish economy, lock down Tibet, and gain more power over its neighbors, especially India and Bangladesh. Let's just break this down for you. The dam is being built on the Yarlung-Tsangpo River, which in Tibet is called Zangbo, and in India, Brahmaputra. The river starts in the glaciers of Tibet. It curves around one of Asia's deepest gorges and then plunges over 2,000 meters, creating one of the most powerful sources of hydropower on the planet. Engineers are drilling giant tunnels through the mountains to send water down to spin massive turbines and then release it back into the river. It sounds clean, it sounds smart, but with everything China-related, there seems to be a catch. You see, this area is extremely fragile, geologically and ecologically. It's prone to earthquakes. It's home to endangered wildlife like snow leopards and red pandas. One wrong move and it could damage an entire ecosystem that supports millions downstream, including in India and Bangladesh. Still, for Beijing, the rewards outweigh the risks. And with this, China hopes to create 200,000 jobs a year, boost the GDP by up to 0.2%, soak up surplus cement, steel, copper, reduce reliance on coal. But most importantly, it will give Xi Jinping tighter control over Tibet, a region that has long resisted Chinese rule. By pouring in workers, roads, railways, Xi Jinping is not just building a dam there, he is trying to build his dominance. Already, locals in nearby towns say rents have doubled, shops are filling up, investors are rushing in. This is no longer just about power, it's also become about people and control. And what about the neighbors? India is watching this closely. You see, this river becomes the Brahmaputra after it crosses the border, feeding farms, homes, cities all the way to Bangladesh. India said in January it had raised concerns with China about the project in Tibet, saying it will monitor and take necessary measures to protect its interests. In fact, India's foreign ministry had said then that China has been urged to ensure that the interests of the downstream states of the Brahmaputra are not harmed by activities in upstream areas. But of course, there are concerns. What happens if Beijing one day uses the dam to try and manipulate the water flow, for example, as a political weapon? China has built over 55 dams on trans-boundary rivers. From the Mekong to the Brahmaputra, it controls the water taps of Asia in a way. And India is not alone in worrying. Countries like Laos, Thailand, Cambodia, Vietnam are already seeing droughts because of China's upstream control. And now with China refusing to fully share plans or data of this new dam, trust is thin. And back home, Xi Jinping is banking on this mega dam to try and secure his legacy. Just like Mao had the Three Gorges Dam, Xi Jinping wants something bigger and more permanent. But will it deliver?